Hello, class 10 students. So here I am with the first lecture on mathematics. So when I went through the syllabus, I had I was thinking about which chapter to start initially. So I have taken up the very last chapter, that is probability. This is a very interesting topic and a very interesting chapter. So I think it would be fun if we start up with this chapter because it does not require any rigorous calculations and it will be understood by majority of you all. In fact, all of you all. I want all of you all to understand this concept. So let me start up with probability. So everyone keeps saying probably this will happen, probably the lockdown will extend, probably it won't extend, probably India will win the match, probably will pass the exams, blah blah blah. Now, what is the science behind this probably? We never say that today Cristiano Ronaldo will score a century. We never say that. We never say that probably India Virat Kohli will score 2 goals today. We never say that, right? Because that does not come into the discussion of our probability, isn't it? Because that event is not probable at all. That is an impossible event. Okay, so all the activities which have a sort of uncertainty, whether this may happen or this may not happen, those type of events can be represented in the form of this theory, that is the probabilistic theory. Okay, the most very common example is tossing a coin, right? When you toss a coin, so simplest example, is tossing a coin. So when you toss a coin, on each sides of the coin, on one side we have head and on the other side we have tail, right? Head and tail. So if you toss a coin, say what is the probability of getting a head? The probability of getting a head is, obviously everyone say the probability of getting head is half and the probability of getting tail is half. That is 50-50, isn't it? So in a toss there is 50% probability of head getting a head and 50% probability of getting a tail. Now how is this working? Now this is working in this way. So probability is basically expressed in as number of favorable outcomes divided by total number of possible outcomes. Okay. Now what does this mean? This means when you are tossing a coin, you'll either get head or you'll get tail. So what are how many favorable outcomes are there? One, isn't it? Because you'll either get head or you will get tail. So number of favorable outcomes when you are tossing a coin becomes 1. And what are the total number of possible outcomes? Possible outcomes are head and tail. So we are having 2 possible outcomes. So 2. So probability of getting a head is half and the probability of getting a tail is also half. Why it is half? Because how many tails are there in a coin? 1 tail. So number of favorable outcome becomes 1 and total number of possible outcomes becomes 2. So the number of the probability of getting a head and tail both are 1 by 2. Okay, now see. So did you understand the concept of number of favorable outcomes divided by total number of possible outcomes? Number of favorable outcomes means there will be only one favorable outcome, isn't it? Out of 2, head and tail. So 1, we are talking about head, so 1. So total number of possible outcomes is 2. So it will be applicable for both head and tail. So this type of event is called equally probable event. Equally likely event. This is an equally likely event where a head and tail both are equally likely to occur. Okay. Now, after having said this, let me give you some more important points related to probability. Okay. Now, what is the probability of Lionel Messi scoring a century? That is 100 runs. If I ask you that question, so what will you say? What is the probability of Lionel Messi scoring a century? Scores century, 100 runs, right? Is it possible? It's not possible, right? So Lionel Messi is a football player, so this becomes an impossible event. Okay, impossible event, and the probability of an impossible event is 0. It's not possible at all. Okay, now let me take another extreme example. So if you are taking part in a suppose marathon running, okay, so but fortunately or unfortunately, you are the only contender who is running, so nobody is competing with you, you are running alone. Okay, so what is the probability that your rank will be first, that you will stand first in the race? Obviously you are the only runner, then you will obviously win, you will be the you will be placed in the first position. So what is the probability that you will be the winner of the race? The probability will be 100%. 100% you are going to win. So probability of a sure event, that is a sure event, right? You are running alone, event is 1. So probability of an impossible event is 0 and probability of a sure event is 1. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is probability, it lies between 0 and 1. This is what I'm trying to say. Impossible event 0, sure event 1. So probability will lie between 0 and 1, that is 0% to 100%. Okay, so this is, let me write this. So probability lies between 0 and, okay. Now let us take the same example of tossing a coin. Probability of getting head is half, isn't it? So what will be the probability of getting tail? That is again half, probability of getting tail. So sum of probabilities, therefore probability of getting head plus probability of getting tail will be equal to half plus half, that is 1. So the net probability, the total probability is 1. Okay, probability cannot exceed 1. Cannot exceed 1. Okay, so probability always lies between 0 and 1. This you have to understand. Now let me go into a bit of further details of this so that you understand it better. Okay, now suppose we are tossing two coins tossed. Okay, suppose two coins are tossed. What are the probable outcomes? Either you will get head, you may get head, okay, or you may get tail. In both the cases you may get, we are tossing two coins together, so you may get head, tail, or you may get, in the first coin you may get head and in the second coin you may get tail, or in the first coin tail and in the second coin head. So these are the possibilities when we are tossing two coins. Okay, so the representation of all the possibilities of an event, okay, the representation of all the possibilities of an event, this is technically called sample space. What is it called? It is called sample space. Okay, so sample space is a representation of all the possible possibilities of an event which is occurring. Okay, so now let me quickly take another example. Okay, Hope it is clear, sample space is clear, and you understood the definition of probability, number of favorable outcomes divided by total number of possible outcomes. Okay, so let us consider another very simple example. A bag contains one yellow, one black, and one red ball. Okay, if a ball is drawn at random, what is the probability of getting a red ball? Okay, now what are they asking? In total we are having how many balls? One yellow, one black, one red ball in a bag. So if you take out one ball at random, what is the probability that you will get a red ball? So let me represent it by PR. There's no need to represent. You can write probability of getting a red ball. I am using a shorthand notation. Probability of getting a red ball is equal to what you know? Number of favorable outcomes divided by total number of possible outcomes, right? So how many favorable outcomes are there? Red ball. So we are drawing one ball, isn't it? So number of favorable outcomes is 1. We are having only one ball and we are drawing only one ball. And what are the total number of possible outcomes? 1, 2, 3. So the probability becomes 1 by 3. Okay. The probability similarly, obviously, probability of drawing a yellow ball will also be 1 by 3. And probability of drawing a black ball will also be 1 by 3. Had it been different numbers, then it would have been a bit different. Okay. Is it okay till here? What is the size? What is the time?
12:30.
Okay, though then we will have to stop here, but we'll continue in the next class. We'll discuss about more detailed questions in this chapter. Hope the introductory part is okay. If you have any issues, just let me know. Thank you.